today's episode, we delve into a harrowing tale of betrayal, twisted love, and a tragic end in the peaceful suburbs of Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. This is the story of Suzette Anarchy, a vibrant woman whose life was brutally cut short in a murder orchestrated by those closest to her.
Suzette Anarchy was a 44-year-old manager at Ruby Tuesdays, a popular restaurant chain known for its American fare and salad bar. She lived in a large suburban McMansion in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma, a city known for its friendly neighborhoods and good schools. Suzette was an ambitious and outgoing woman. Her friends and family described her as someone who lived life to the fullest. She loved adventure sports like hiking and rock climbing, and she often spent her weekends exploring nature trails and cliffs. Suzette's educational journey began at Broken Arrow High School, where she was known for her excellent grades and participation in various clubs. She later attended the University of Oklahoma, where she majored in business management. Her education helped her rise quickly in her career, and she was deeply committed to her job at Ruby Tuesdays, where she was a respected manager. Suzette had a close-knit family. She was married to Danny Anarchy, and she had a teenage daughter named Luna Anarchy from her ex-husband Ross. Her relationship with Danny was complex, with periods of intense affection and moments of jealousy. Luna, an 18-year-old college student at Oklahoma State University, looked up to her mother and shared her adventurous spirit. Suzette's friends described her as fiercely loyal and always ready to help those in need. She was the kind of person who made everyone feel special. She had a magnetic personality that drew people to her. Her colleagues admired her work ethic and her ability to manage the restaurant efficiently while maintaining a friendly atmosphere. In the days leading up to her death, Suzette was particularly excited about a new managerial project at work. She had been working on improving the restaurant's customer service and menu options. She also planned a weekend hiking trip with her friends to celebrate the successful completion of the project. Suzette's dreams included further advancing her career and spending more time with her family and friends. She was looking forward to the upcoming fall season, with plans to visit local pumpkin patches and attend the Tulsa State Fair. On the evening of September 13, 2002, Suzette spent time with her family, discussing their plans for the weekend. She was in high spirits, full of hope and excitement for the future. Sadly, her dreams were cut short the following morning when her life was tragically taken. On the morning of September 14, 2002, the sky was overcast, and a light drizzle fell over Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. At around 7:30 a.m., Luna Anarchy, an 18-year-old college student, woke up and went to her mother's large walk-in closet in her family's large suburban home. Luna had plans to meet friends later that day, but first, she wanted to check on her mother, Suzette. As Luna entered the closet, she was met with a horrific sight. Her mother, Suzette Anarchy, lay lifeless on the floor in a pool of blood. Several belts, possibly the murder weapon, were scattered around her body. Luna's initial shock turned to sheer panic. She screamed and fell to her knees beside her mother. Struggling to maintain her composure, Luna reached for the phone and dialed 911, her voice shaking as she reported the brutal scene. The 911 call was received at 7:35 a.m. Luna, barely able to speak through her tears, described what she saw. The dispatcher stayed on the line with her, offering calm reassurances until the police arrived. Luna's frantic call sent a wave of urgency through the Broken Arrow Police Department. When the first responders arrived, they found Luna in a state of deep shock, sitting on the front steps of the house, her clothes stained with blood from holding her mother. The officers quickly secured the scene, ensuring no one could enter or leave the house while they began their investigation. The discovery of Suzette's body sent shockwaves through the Broken Arrow community. News quickly spread, and by midday, local media, including the Tulsa World newspaper and TV stations like KOTV Channel 6, were reporting on the tragic incident. Neighbors and friends gathered outside the Anarchy home, offering their support and expressing their disbelief. Suzette Anarchy's murder marked the beginning of a complex investigation. The police were determined to uncover the truth behind her brutal death and bring her killer to justice. As they worked tirelessly, the impact of Suzette's death resonated through the community, leaving everyone grappling with the loss of a beloved friend, colleague, and mother. When the Broken Arrow Police Department received Luna Anarchy's frantic 911 call on September 14, 2002, they knew they had to act fast. The sky was overcast, and a light drizzle continued as officers rushed to the scene. Detective Mark Correlli, a seasoned investigator with 15 years on the force, led the team. Known for his sharp eye and calm demeanor, Coralie arrived with his partner, Detective Susan Ilera, who had a reputation for her meticulous attention to detail. When Coralie and Ilera entered the Anna Key home, they were met with a gruesome scene. Suzette Anna Key's body lay in the middle of her large walk-in closet, surrounded by belts stained with blood. The room showed clear signs of a struggle. Blood splatters covered the walls and furniture, indicating the violent nature of the attack. The detectives noted the presence of nunchucks, hinting at a possible history of abuse. The police quickly secured the crime scene, ensuring that no evidence would be disturbed. Coralie began by documenting everything meticulously. He photographed the body, the belts, and the nunchucks, making sure to capture every detail. Ilera, meanwhile, collected physical evidence, carefully bagging the belts for forensic analysis. They found no signs of forced entry, suggesting that Suzette likely knew her attacker. The medical examiner arrived shortly after to examine Suzette's body. The deep lacerations caused by the belts confirmed that Suzette had died from blunt force trauma. The brutal nature of the attack indicated intense rage, pointing to a personal motive. While Coralie and Ilera worked inside, uniformed officers canvassed the neighborhood. They interviewed neighbors and potential witnesses, hoping to gather information that could lead to a suspect. One neighbor mentioned hearing loud arguments from the Anna Key home the night before, adding a crucial detail to the timeline. Detective Coralie and his team continued their investigation late into the evening. They used luminol to detect any hidden bloodstains and dusted for fingerprints. The evidence pointed to a personal and deeply emotional motive behind Suzette's murder. As they processed the crime scene, the detectives were determined to uncover the truth and bring justice to Suzette and her grieving family. The thorough work of the Broken Arrow Police Department laid the foundation for solving this tragic case. Every piece of evidence, every witness statement, brought them one step closer to identifying Suzette's killer. The first suspect in Suzette Anna Key's murder was her husband, Danny Anna Key. At 48 years old, Danny was known for his intelligence and meticulous nature. He worked as an accountant, a job that suited his detail-oriented personality. However, those who knew Danny also described him as emotionally distant and sometimes jealous, especially regarding his relationship with Suzette. Detective Mark Coralie and Detective Susan Ilera brought Danny in for questioning on the afternoon of September 14, 2002. The police station was abuzz with activity as the news of Suzette's murder spread. Danny appeared calm but nervous, a stark contrast to the horror that had unfolded in his home. Coralie started the interrogation by asking Danny to recount his activities the night before. Danny claimed he had been working late on a project for a client and then went to bed early. However, his alibi quickly began to fall apart. When detectives checked with his workplace, they found no record of him being there late. Moreover, Danny's colleagues mentioned that he had left the office at his usual time. During the questioning, Danny remained mostly composed but showed signs of discomfort when asked about his relationship with Suzette. He admitted that they had arguments, mainly about his jealousy and her long hours at work. Danny also acknowledged that he was aware of Suzette's close friendship with Ross Cambray, her ex-husband who often helped around the house. However, he denied any involvement in her murder. The detectives pressed further, asking about the belts and nunchucks found at the crime scene. Danny hesitated but eventually admitted that the belts were his. He said he used them for his martial arts hobby, but insisted he had never used them to hurt Suzette. His answers were evasive, and his calm demeanor began to crack, revealing glimpses of anger and frustration. Detectives Coralie and Ilera noticed these changes in his behavior. They believed that Danny's meticulous and controlling nature could have driven him to commit the crime, especially if he felt threatened by Suzette's independence or her relationship with Ross. As the interrogation continued, Danny's responses grew more erratic. He alternated between calm denials and angry outbursts, raising the detectives' suspicions further. The interview ended with Danny still professing his innocence, but the inconsistencies in his story and his emotional volatility painted a different picture. The investigation into Danny Anna Key was just beginning. Detectives Coralie and Ilera knew they needed more evidence to connect him to Suzette's murder. But with each question, Danny became a more likely suspect in the eyes of the police. The next suspect in Suzette Anna Key's murder was Ross Cambray, her 37-year-old ex-husband. Ross was disciplined, energetic, and known for his supportive nature. He worked as a fitness trainer at a local gym, a job that suited his active lifestyle. He had known Suzette since college, and their friendship remained strong over the years despite their divorce 8 years before. Ross was frequently seen at the Anarchy home, helping with the garden and house repairs. On the morning of September 15, 2002, detectives Mark Corley and Susan O'Lara brought Ross in for questioning. The police station was filled with reporters, all eager for updates on the case. Ross appeared cooperative but visibly nervous as he sat down with the detectives. Detective Corley began the interrogation by asking Ross about his relationship with Suzette and Danny. Ross admitted that he was still very close to Suzette and considered her one of his best friends. He also acknowledged his friendship with Danny, but noted that their relationship had become strained over time. As the questioning continued, Ross dropped a bombshell. He revealed that he had been secretly having sex with both Danny and Suzette, unbeknownst to each other. This revelation shocked the detectives, adding a new layer of complexity to the case. Ross explained that the relationships had been going on for several months, and he felt deeply conflicted about them. Detective O'Lara asked Ross if he had any knowledge of the belts and nunchucks found at the crime scene. Ross shook his head and insisted he had never seen Danny use them for anything other than martial arts practice. He also stated that he had no idea about any abuse in the Anarchy household. Ross's demeanor was a mix of nervousness and cooperation. He answered the detectives' questions honestly but seemed deeply troubled by the situation. He explained that on the night of Suzette's murder, he had been at home, alone, watching Jimmy Neutron and Rugrats. Unfortunately, he had no one to corroborate his alibi. The detectives found Ross's confession about the secret relationships to be both surprising and suspicious. It gave Ross a potential motive. If Suzette or Danny had discovered the affairs, it could have led to a violent confrontation. However, Ross's genuine sadness and shock over Suzette's death made it hard to believe he could commit such a brutal crime. As the interrogation ended, Ross was released but remained a person of interest. Detectives Corley and O'Lara knew they needed to dig deeper into Ross's background and alibi to determine if he had any involvement in Suzette's murder. The investigation was becoming more complex, with each suspect revealing new and startling information. On September 17, 2002, 3 days after Suzette Anarchy's murder, the investigation took a crucial turn. The day was clear and sunny, providing a stark contrast to the grim task at hand. Detective Mark Corley received a call from a neighbor who had found something unusual in her backyard while gardening. She had unearthed a blood-stained shirt buried in the dirt. Detectives Corley and Susan O'Lara rushed to the scene to collect the evidence. The neighbor handed over the shirt, a men's size, and it appeared to have been hastily buried. They carefully placed it in an evidence bag, knowing it could be a key piece in solving the case. Back at the police station, the shirt was sent to the forensic lab for analysis. Meanwhile, Corley and O'Lara reviewed the case files and the alibis of their suspects. The new evidence could potentially break the case wide open. The forensic team worked quickly to analyze the shirt. By late afternoon, they had found DNA that matched Danny Anarchy. This finding was significant and placed Danny at the crime scene, providing physical evidence linking him to the murder. With this new evidence in hand, the detectives dug deeper into Danny's background. They discovered a disturbing pattern of abuse. Suzette had been brutally abused by Danny. He frequently beat her with belts, one in each hand, in what he called cowboy style. He also used a pair of nunchucks for what he referred to as a ninja beating. These findings painted a horrifying picture of Suzette's life and suggested a motive driven by Danny's violent tendencies and control issues. The third suspect in the investigation was Luna Anarchy, Suzette's 18-year-old daughter. Luna was a charismatic and ambitious college student at Oklahoma State University, known for her social skills and persuasive nature. She had a magnetic personality and was popular among her peers. However, Luna had been hiding a significant secret. She was pregnant with her stepfather Danny's child. On September 18, 2002, detectives Mark Corley and Susan O'Lara brought Luna in for questioning at the Broken Arrow Police Department. Luna appeared calm but apprehensive as she sat down with the detectives. Detective Corley began by asking Luna about her relationship with her mother and stepfather. Luna spoke fondly of her mother, describing her as a loving and adventurous person. When asked about Danny, Luna hesitated before revealing the shocking details of their affair. She admitted that the relationship had been ongoing for several years and that she was pregnant with this child. The detectives were stunned by Luna's confession. They questioned her about her whereabouts on the night of the murder. Luna claimed she had been out with friends, celebrating a successful exam. However, her friends' statements were inconsistent, and some couldn't confirm seeing her that night. Detective Valera asked Lumet if she had any knowledge of the belts and nunchucks found at the crime scene. Luma's eyes widened, and she appeared genuinely shocked. She denied any involvement in her mother's murder and insisted that she loved Suzette deeply. Despite her calm demeanor, the detectives noticed signs of stress and fear. Luna's potential motive was complex. If Suzette had discovered the affair and the pregnancy, it could have led to a confrontation. However, Luma's genuine grief over her mother's death made it difficult to believe she was involved. The detectives decided to dig deeper into Luma's background and relationships. As the interrogation continued, Luna maintained her innocence but admitted that her relationship with Danny was a mistake. She expressed remorse for the pain it had caused and seemed genuinely devastated by her mother's death. Despite Luma's emotional responses, the detectives knew they had to consider all possibilities. They reviewed her alibi and questioned her friends again, looking for any inconsistencies. Luna's complex relationship with Danny and her secret pregnancy added layers to the investigation, making it one of the most challenging aspects of the case. Luna's interview ended with more questions than answers. The detectives knew they needed concrete evidence to determine her involvement, if any, in Suzette's murder. The investigation was far from over, and every new piece of information brought them closer to the truth. With the discovery of the blood-stained shirt and the pattern of abuse, the Broken Arrow Police Department felt confident they had identified Suzette Anna Key's murderer. On September 18, 2002, detectives Mark Corley and Susan Alera pieced together the evidence pointing to Danny Anna Key as the killer. The weather was clear, mirroring the clarity with which the case had come into focus. Danny Anna Key, a 48-year-old accountant, had shown signs of jealousy and violent tendencies. Investigators learned that Danny had been abusing Suzette for years. He would beat her with belts, one in each hand, a method he called cowboy style. He also used nunchucks, referring to this brutal practice as ninja beating. This abuse, combined with his desire to be with his stepdaughter Luna, who was also pregnant with his child, motivated him to commit the murder. Danny believed that killing Suzette would allow him to start a new life with Luna without the complications of a divorce. Additionally, he stood to gain financially from Suzette's life insurance policy. On the night of September 14, 2002, under the guise of another abusive episode, Danny whipped Suzette to death cowboy style with his belts in their large suburban home. Detectives Corley and Alera gathered all the evidence, including witness testimonies and forensic analysis, and presented their case to the district attorney. The decision was made to arrest Danny for Suzette's murder. On the morning of September 18, the police planned the arrest. Under a clear sky, they approached Danny's office, knowing that apprehending him in public would prevent any potential escape or harm to others. Danny was taken into custody without incident. He appeared shocked and tried to maintain his innocence, but the overwhelming evidence against him made his guilt apparent. Suzette's family, particularly her daughter Luna, had mixed reactions. Luna was torn between the loss of her mother and the arrest of her stepfather and secret lover. Friends and neighbors expressed relief that the alleged perpetrator was in custody, hoping for justice for Suzette. The arrest marked a significant step towards closure for Suzette's family and friends. Detective Corley and Detective Alera, who had worked tirelessly on the case, felt a sense of accomplishment but knew the journey was far from over. The trial would be the next hurdle in bringing full justice to Suzette Anna Key's tragic end. The trial of Danny Anna Key began in late September 2002, capturing the attention of the Broken Arrow community and the media. The prosecution was led by District Attorney James D. Capria, a 45-year-old known for his sharp mind and dedication to justice. He presented the case with determination, focusing on the evidence that painted Danny as a violent and controlling husband who murdered his wife, Suzette, to be with his stepdaughter Luna and benefit from the life insurance policy. Capria outlined the abuse Suzette had endured, including the horrific cowboy style and ninja beating methods Danny used. He detailed the events of the night of September 14, emphasizing the bloodstained shirt and the DNA evidence linking Danny to the crime scene. Capria called witnesses, including neighbors and forensic experts, who testified about the abuse and the evidence. The defense attorney, Robert Angel Corley, a 50-year-old with a calm demeanor and years of experience in criminal defense, argued that the evidence was circumstantial and that Danny was a loving husband who was being unfairly targeted. Corley suggested that the real killer could have been someone else, possibly Ross Cambry or even Luna. He questioned the reliability of the witness testimonies and the forensic evidence, trying to cast doubt in the minds of the jurors. Throughout the trial, Suzette's family watched with heavy hearts. Luna, torn between the loss of her mother and the arrest of her stepfather and lover, appeared visibly distressed. Friends and neighbors who had known Suzette as a vibrant and loyal person were there to support the family, hoping for justice. After several days of testimonies and arguments, the jury deliberated. On October 3, 2002, they returned with a verdict. Danny Anakey was found guilty of first-degree murder. The courtroom was silent as the judge pronounced the sentence, life in prison without the possibility of parole. The severity of the punishment reflected the brutality of the crime and the betrayal of trust. Danny showed little emotion as the sentence was read, maintaining his innocence. Suzette's family, while relieved that justice had been served, was also grappling with the emotional toll of the trial and the loss of Suzette. Luna was particularly affected, struggling with her complicated feelings about Danny and the devastating impact on her life. The trial's conclusion brought a sense of closure to the community, but the scars of Suzette's tragic death would remain. Friends and family members tried to move forward, remembering Suzette for the loving and adventurous person she was. After the trial of Danny Anakey, the residents of Broken Arrow tried to return to their normal lives, but the memory of Suzette Anakey's tragic death lingered. The verdict had brought a sense of justice, but the community was still healing from the shock. Danny was sent to a maximum security prison to serve his life sentence without the possibility of parole. He continued to claim his innocence, but his appeals were repeatedly denied. In prison, Danny was a model inmate, but he remained isolated and alone, reflecting on the choices that led him to this point. Luna Anakey faced a difficult path ahead. She decided to leave Oklahoma State University for a semester to take care of her mental health. The revelation of her affair with Danny and her pregnancy had left her feeling lost and overwhelmed. Luna sought therapy to help her process the trauma and rebuild her life. She moved in with her maternal grandparents, who offered her support and a safe place to grieve and heal as she raised her daughter, yet as a single mother. Ross Cambry, who had been caught in the web of the investigation due to his secret relationships with both Suzette and Danny, returned to his job as a fitness trainer. The experience had changed him profoundly, and he became more private and introspective. Ross focused on his work and avoided the spotlight, hoping to leave the past behind. Suzette's parents, devastated by the loss of their daughter, focused on supporting Luna and preserving Suzette's legacy. They created a scholarship fund in Suzette's name at the local high school, aiming to help young women pursue their dreams. The town of Broken Arrow, though scared by the tragic events, found ways to heal and remember. Suzette Anakey's story was a reminder of the complexities of human relationships and the need for kindness and understanding. Light slowly moved forward, but Suzette's vibrant spirit continued to inspire those who knew her.
This concludes our episode of True Crime Case Files. The tragic end of Suzette Anakey serves as a stark reminder of the hidden dangers within seemingly ordinary lives. Join us next time as we uncover more chilling tales of true crime. Thank you for listening.
Hey, true crime case solvers, interested in more real-life murder mysteries? Be sure to like and subscribe to our channel. And do you have any thoughts about this case or have a case of your own you'd like us to investigate? Leave us a comment. Until then, stay safe, true crime case solvers.